Welcome to the Say It Out Loud podcast. I'm your host, Vasavi Kumar. If you're eager to gain clarity, speak with unwavering confidence, and liberate those inner voices, you're in the perfect spot. My mission here is to empower you to break free, find fulfillment, and ignite your passion. You ready? It's time to say it out loud. I've put together a guide of my top 10 tested and proven to work practical strategies and habits to help bright women like you say no, set your boundaries right, live confidently, and build healthy relationships, starting with the relationship you have with yourself. This is a self-paced guide, and I can't wait for you to dig into it so you can start becoming your most confident self, because she's in there waiting for you. Head to the link in my show notes or go to vasavikumar.com/guide and grab it today.
Hey y'all, you are listening to the Say It Out Loud podcast. I am your guest host today, Alex Davis, and I am truly excited to be here today. I have been in Vasavi's Say It Out Loud group for the past 6 months, so I'm just super excited to share my voice. If nothing else, I've learned the power of saying it out loud for a whole lot of reasons, but for me, it was in particular to find my true, authentic voice. And even saying that out loud, sometimes I'm like, girl, you don't know your voice? But no, I didn't. And what I realized is I've had a lot of epiphanies over these last 6 months, but I wasn't living and making decisions based on me. I've been living and basing a lot of my decisions based on my 18-year-old self. And there are times in our lives where words or actions, people, places, or things have this impact on you that carry you for a really long time. And if you don't take the time to sit in it, analyze it, feel all the feelings, say it out loud, it'll continue to control you. And so I just hope today in the stories that I share that it does benefit someone, especially if you're in a place of transitioning in your life, whether it's leaving a soul-sucking job, whether it's ending a relationship, starting your business, growing your business. But if you're in a season of transitioning and truly figuring out what it is that you want, I think this will be a beneficial podcast for you. So with that, let's get into it. So I mentioned how there are people, places, things, words that can happen that can really shift the trajectory of your life. And so when I was 18 years old, I got pregnant with my first daughter. And when I shared the news, I was met with this phrase from a very beloved family member: "You're intent on ruining your life." When I tell you that has carried with me, I mean, even now, I don't get as emotional about it because I've been working through and processing it, but it has carried me a long time, because for someone to speak that over your life is a little bit jarring, especially when it's someone that cares about you. Now, what I know is that this person loves me. They want nothing but the best for me. But it did not make it hurt any less. So some takeaways in that is there's power. And I think even the word says there's life and death is spoken through the tongue, or something like that. I am not a biblical scholar, but it's something of that nature. Life or death can be spoken from the tongue. And so in that very moment, that family member really could have spoken death over my life. I could have decided that as an 18-year-old pregnant high school senior, that me going through with having my daughter could have ruined my life. I could have chosen to believe that. So there's so much power in the tongue. So as we are out in the world speaking it, just being more mindful of it, but not only as we speak to others, how do we speak to ourselves? Right? What are we saying to ourselves? What are we saying out loud? What are we not saying to ourselves? Because what I found over this last year, I would say, in this personal development world, I lack a lot of compassion for myself. And I work with a lot of women, and we are one of the same. We don't have compassion for ourselves. Like the way we talk to ourselves, man, please. Terrible. That was me. Hell, if I'm being totally honest, some days I still forget, and I'm not talking to myself nice. So there's that. There's the power in the tongue. But what also happened, thankfully, instead of it speaking death over me, it spoke life. And I used that as a battery in my back for the last 18 years to be a successful statistic. Because this person had written me off as being, oh, you just intent on ruining your life. Because a lot of people, I grew up in Southwest Florida, and a lot of teens, like the teen pregnancy rate was high. Me at 18, I was old getting pregnant because there were 14, 13, 15, 16-year-olds routinely getting pregnant. And I had made it all the way to 18. But I knew that there was still, stigma surrounding it. And so I actually hid my pregnancy for 5.5 months. I had gotten myself signed up for Medicaid, WIC, with the help of family members who had kids younger than me. And so they were experiencing it. But I had gotten help and been doing all this grown-up stuff by myself. I actually had signed myself out of regular high school and signed myself into a teen pregnancy program specifically to help teen parents and expectant parents to graduate school and have a setting where they are getting information about their pregnancy, raising children, child development, all that good stuff. So I had done all this by myself because I'm 18. I legally can do basically whatever I want. And so I did just that. And yet I still, when that family member said, you're intent on ruining your life, it stuck with me. And I said, no, I'm going to show you. And I've done just that. I've done. And so, I'll share some of the things that I've gone on to do. But the kicker is this wasn't necessarily internally driven. And so what I have come to learn is that when an external factor is driving you, you can only go so far. Not to say that you can't achieve massive action, but it just will only get you so far. But when it's your internal beliefs, your internal desires that are pushing you for what you want, man, people better get out of the way. There's no stopping you. When you got the internal drive and then the belief that it's already done, I can do this, no. It's over with. It's already done. But I don't want to get too sidetracked. So they said this to me. And so I went on to graduate high school. I was about 7.5 months pregnant. Or 7 months. And so by the time I started college, my daughter was 6 weeks old. And I worked basically full time, went to school full time throughout college while raising my daughter. Then I graduated college. Yay, I did it! Celebration! Ow! A lot of teen high school students, they don't graduate college. Not me. I'm a successful statistic. So I've graduated college. I have a bachelor's in accounting, bachelor's in finance. But now it's time to get a job. That was difficult because I'm trying to enter an accounting space. I have no connections. I grew up low income, parents working minimum wage or just above minimum wage type of jobs, zero connections, trying to get into a very white space. I live in a retirement community. It's very old. and very white. Very old and very white. So I didn't really have any connections. So I really had to hustle to even get a job. And so I applied all over as best I can. No callbacks, no callback, no callback. I finally get a callback. I get an interview. I did not get the job.
Let's take a quick break.
Having been in therapy since the age of 12, I know firsthand just how powerful the process of finding the right therapist is. Going to therapy and talking things out with my therapist has made me happier, clearer, and most importantly, I have a plan for my mental health. I have tools to be able to communicate with others, and also the tools to cope when life gets hard, which it does. So let me ask you a question. Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or if you're just a human who lives in this world who is going through a hard time, therapy can give you tools to approach your life in a very different way. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible. And this is an important mission because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially when you're limited to the options in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with the therapist. There's a link in my description. It's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Vasavi. That's BetterHelp.com/Vasavi. Clicking that link helps support this podcast, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp, so you can connect with the therapist and see if it helps you. And because finding a therapist is a little like dating, if you don't really fit with that therapist, which is a common thing with therapy, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing out about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. I don't know where I would be without the help of therapy and my therapist, but I do know that life would feel that much harder. So if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Vasavi. Thank you again, BetterHelp, for supporting this podcast.
Like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I have this degree. I have student loans that I'm about to have to start paying back. What am I going to do? A few months later, that same company who turned me down, they called me back. They had an opening. Boom. That's my end. I get into my very first job in public accounting. I share this story because at that point I felt indebted. I felt like they gave me a chance. I owe them. And not realizing these are things when I'm looking back at, I feel like I owe them for giving me the chance to not be a statistic or a poor statistic, right? Because I'm a statistic. I'm a freaking black accountant, eventually a black CPA. I'm nothing but a statistic, okay? There's not a lot of us. But I became like indebted to them in an unhealthy way in which I felt like I had to be more loyal to them than myself. And so I spent 10 years in public accounting. 4 years into public accounting, I knew that it wasn't for me. I knew that I was unhappy. At one point, I had lost 25 pounds from just anxiety. Think about getting up about 2:30, 3 o'clock every single morning with bubble guts, sick, can't keep food down. And I lost 25 pounds in the span of about 4 months because my anxiety was just through the roof. I'm working a lot. I'm trying to keep up with everybody else, working 70 hours a week while being a mom because I didn't want to be seen as anything different when I was different. My story was I was a freaking single mom trying to do this. It was not easy, but I didn't want people to see me sweat. I didn't want people to look at me any differently. And so 4 years into public accounting, like I really feel that this is not normal. So I reached out to one of the partners, and they recommended, oh, just go to your doctor, get Xanax. I've never had to take Xanax or anything like that ever in my life. Not knocking anybody that does, but that just was not my ministry. I didn't have to do it. And so when she suggested it, I'm thinking, well, she's been in public accounting a long time. Maybe that's just what it is, and I just have to get accustomed to it. So I did. When I got my prescription, a little Xanax. No. Just take your Xanax as prescribed. And so that's what I did. And I was taking that for a few months, and then I was getting to the place of, it just didn't feel right internally. I'm like, this is not me. I don't need external medication for this. And so I talked to a different partner, and she actually, was honest with me and shared that, oh, I see a therapist. Now, this is a red flag. I got one partner who needs Xanax and another one who's in therapy. Like, is this a public accounting thing? Should have known right then to leave, but I did. So I stuck it out. But the shining light there is that it didn't force me. It made me want to try out therapy. Now, I grew up with a grandmother who was Baptist church. I'm talking about, if you go to church, you better make sure you've had something to eat. We're going to be there at least 2.5 hours. The stomach will be on growl by the time you are let out the door. So there is no therapy. There is no mental health counselors. You pray about it. You pray about it and go to sleep. Those are your options. Pray about it, go to sleep, get a comfort meal. Those are your options. There was no therapy. But because this partner shared this with me, and because I was just so bad off to where I was like, this is just not normal. Not to mention the headaches that I was getting. I was popping Excedrin like they were Skittles, okay? And I was like, no, this isn't gonna work. So it did lead me to therapy, which was probably one of the best decisions of my life, because it really started the opportunity for me to look inwards. Because as I mentioned, these things that I'm going for, yes, they were for me and my daughter to have a better life, but there are tons of ways to have a good life. But in my mind, it was the not ruining my life based on someone else's feelings, not me. Because what is ruining my life? What does that look like? I was trying to figure out what did it look like to them and being better than that, as opposed to really sitting down and saying, Alex, what do you want? What does a good life look like for you and your daughter based on your dreams, your desires? Beginning therapy started allowing me to even think about me first. Me first. Getting to the core of my issues, what I was thinking, what I was feeling. So my point in sharing a bit of that story is, where in your life does something seem like it's like, oh my gosh, this is all bad. There's nothing good coming from it. Nothing. Where's that coming up at? And what lesson can be taken from that? Because when I was in my victimhood of, oh my God, this is just the worst thing ever, gratitude didn't exist. And when I started thinking about the positive and being in gratitude, I was able to reframe some of my experiences from public accounting and see the beauty that came from it. Like, there were some really hard times, and I can't get back my time on certain, well, you can't get back your time on anything, but there are like certain instances where I was like, man, I really wish that I had been there for that, or man, I wish, but understanding that it was all for a reason. And some of the things I can't see it yet, but when I do, or when I'm able to actually like sit and be like, that was the positive the learning lesson. That was the blessing even that came from this experience. It just makes it a lot more palatable. So I'm in therapy. I'm starting to look more inwards, starting to identify some of my issues, and some of it was worthiness. And so me having this unhealthy attachment to my employers because I felt that I owed them and that I wasn't worthy to even want more. Like, they've given me this great opportunity. In my mind, remember, I grew up second generation single parent here. There was not a lot of money. And so making that amount of money was different for me, but not realizing it was pennies, really. It was pennies. I was, I'm not going to go as far as saying I was selling my soul, but I kind of was, because I knew that I wasn't happy anymore. And I was staying, not because of necessarily my desires, but it was a fear of letting my employer down. It was a fear of, can I really be successful if I'm not a CPA, if I don't have, my own office, if I don't have all these things that when I sit here before you now, I'm like, why do I even care about that? Or, are you kidding me? I can work a day and make what I made in a month, working for someone. But it's like now having that perspective, right? When you're in it, yeah, what is it? Hindsight 2020. When you're in it, you don't see any of that. And so there are so many lessons that I can take from it. And just like you can take from when you're going through the things, and when you realize, you start asking yourself, am I doing this for me because I want it? Or am I doing it for someone else and what someone else is going to think? And then once you identify okay, I identified that, no, this isn't what I want. This is because of someone else. Then it's like, then what are you going to do about it? Now that, my friend, is the $1 million question. And I can share with you, I didn't do anything about it. I knew 5 years into my 10 years in public accounting that I wanted out. Actually, I knew in 4 years, but then I gave myself a year and trying to figure things out, to truly identify that I'm saying, I don't want to be here. And yet, it took me another 5 years to really say, you know what? I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to figure out what I need for me and go from there. So during those 5 years, it was a journey. It was an amazing journey, right? And I'm thankful for it, because now I get to share my story with others who are going through the same thing, where they may be in a job that they hate, or a relationship that they hate, or building a business that maybe it started out and it was all love, and now it's like, gosh, this thing is draining me. And whether it's fear, a sense of loyalty, confusion, so many different reasons, we don't exit. Or we know what it is and we're still like, but what do I do about it? Because it's comfortable. It's comfortable. When you're already stressed and overwhelmed, what I found is I just want to be comfortable. And so the thing that you need to do that's going to make you uncomfortable for a little bit, but it's going to lead you to full-time comfort, it's held up, because we're like, we got to trust, right? And I don't know about you all, but I struggle with trust, with self-trust and trusting others. And so, no, I don't struggle. I struggled with in the past, because I shared earlier that there's power in the tongue. So I struggled with in the past self-trust and trusting others. So to now trust that, oh my gosh, the things that I want, trust that they are capable of coming true. Trust. It's a different flex. It's a different muscle, and you have to work muscles, right? And it's a lot. It's scary. But finally, now, so I started public accounting in the beginning of 2012. And so it took until the end of 2021 for me to finally be like, so it was just under 10 years, but it's basically 10 years. For me to finally have the courage to actually give my resignation and start my own business. Now there's a lot in between there, but I really just want to give you highlight Cliff Note versions because I want to keep this concise for you as best as possible, and just understand that once you've identified it, it may not click right away. And what I don't want you to do is beat yourself up, because that's what I found that I was doing at moments of, you know what you're supposed to do, just do it, just do it. Not talking to myself nice. That doesn't help. That doesn't help. But sit in it and say it out loud. Talk to your fears. Talk to them. For example, one of my fears was I'm not going to be able to make the money that I make in public accounting. So by the time I left, I was making six figures, like low six figures, $110,000 a year. And so, but for me, you got to keep in mind, for me as a single mom, and I've always, budgeted pretty well. So I had a surplus of over $2,000 a month at this point, well over that. And so for me to leave that's guaranteed, so we think it's guaranteed, but another little gem, if you don't own the business, and even if you own the business, nothing's guaranteed. They could go and sell your company tomorrow, and that new company come in and say, hey, we're done. That company that you think, you don't see the financials, that company that you think is doing amazing, they could be money laundering, could be doing all sorts of criminal activity. The FBI comes knock on your door. Shut down, y'all don't have a job. Your 401k, that's all fraud and giving you fraudulent statements. Now, I hope none of that's happening. But we have this sense sometimes in our mind that we have this safety and security with sticking with what we know, when the reality is unless you're a private detective and auditing and doing all this extra stuff, we don't know. So you guess what you're operating in right now? Faith. I was operating in faith with this business. I had more faith in them than I had in myself, that I knew that I was going to be okay. And because this is what I do believe, you won't be given a vision to do something if it's not possible. You will not have a vision to do something if it's not possible. And so I'm now at this point where the fear that comes up is, am I going to be able to have the same lifestyle, create the type of income out on my own? And so right now it's in my head, but either writing it out or talking, like I said, talking to the fear and saying, okay, well, how true is that? When I say how true is that is one of my favorite questions to ask myself. How true is that? So how true is it that I won't be able to make $110,000 on my own? Well, that's not true at all, because if I charge $1,000 per tax return, how many people do I need to make $110,000, right? What would that look like? Do I think I can work with 100 people? Yeah, I absolutely think that I could find 100 people that need $1,000 tax returns. Or maybe I only need 50 people and they're $2,000 tax returns. Maybe I work with people that need $5,000 tax returns. So now that's only 20 people. Could I find 20 people that need $5,000 tax returns and tax planning? Absolutely. Oh, maybe I work with only 10 clients. They need $10,000 tax returns, tax planning. The bottom line is it was possible. And so once I actually started having that dialogue, I felt much better. It did the same thing with, what if I have to use my savings? So I started, okay, well, what would I need to save? When you actually start speaking to the fear and then seeing how untrue something is, it really allows you to take your breath and start moving towards what you really desire. So on October 22nd, 2021, I finally was able to give my notice. Mind you, I had written a notice for April 2021, signed it, printed it, all that, and I didn't turn it in. And I didn't turn it in because another coworker had given their notice. And here comes Alex putting a job and an employer over herself. Oh, I can't leave him now. This person's left. So let me just prolong my life even longer. And that's what I did. But then I got a coach. I got a coach in June and had some one-on-one sessions to really iron out and really start bringing out, what does Alex need, want, deserve, and then being held accountable for, well, you said this is what you want. Your actions are actually not aligning with that. We are focusing on one thing, what you want. So holding on to that, not being a statistic crap that family member said to you, you're already not a statistic in the sense of a failure, right? You're already not that. So what is it that you want that's going to make you feel like you are a success? Nobody else. And so really walking in that, but having support to anchor, right? It's like you got to get that anchor down. Because left to our own devices, we make up stories. A lot of times we make up stories in our head that just simply are not true. And so you do need that outside party. And so I share that with you because a lot of times we think we have to do it all by ourselves. We are so used, especially when you're a high achieving woman. I don't know what it is about us. We have this independent woman. So I used to feel like that. I'm independent. I'm a strong Black independent woman. I'm not. I'm a damsel in distress. Yep, damsel in distress. It's very much a soft life living for me. I don't believe that connotation of we have to do everything by ourselves. We do not. There's so much power in community. Getting the right coach on your team to really help you start living your dream and finding your voice. Because for so long, in corporate and public accounting, I felt like I couldn't be me. Like how my hair is right now, I would never. Actually, I lied. Once I started coaching and just really focusing on, I want to find my voice, I did. I started wearing my hair like this. And if you have a problem with that, F you, okay? Because you need to be concerned with, am I delivering great client service? Are my tax returns correct? Are my tax plans accurate in saving my clients? Worrying about what color hair and style my hair is. So you saw that shift in my energy because I'm like, that just is total BS, okay? So, now see, I lost my train of thought. But my point is that finding and being your true self, just once you start getting support, being able to really bring that out, you can start living for you and no one else. And so that way I don't make sure I start preaching. I just want to end this by saying I've learned a lot over the years, but when I started putting myself first, and when I started defining the statistics that I wanted to be a part of or not, is when I really was able to walk in and really start showing up in my power, in my authority, unapologetically. Because I know that it felt right in my spirit. And the thing is you know that you do things in excellence. with a serving heart, because you wouldn't be attracted to Vasavi. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you weren't. And so getting out of the way of us feeling like we have to tiptoe around people to manage people's feelings, manage other people's expectations, and manage everybody but ourselves. Everybody's their own sovereign person, control themselves. And once we walk and step into that power of it, our destiny is sealed. And it will start to unfold. Our desires will begin to unfold once we are able to release those thoughts of everyone else. We create the life that we want. And I'm not saying that to be woo-woo or any of that. I'm telling you that from real life experience. The minute I start letting the internal drive, my goals, my desires, there was a shift. I didn't look the same. I didn't feel the same. It shifted. And I know that the same will happen for you when you really step into that. So if you are in that place of transition where you're looking for more, you want to take the leap, you want to do it, I encourage you to start looking within, and any driving factors that are not coming from a place of internal, like this is what I want, if it's from a place of I'm show somebody else, and check it, right? Sometimes it's a great motivator, because for a long time it did motivate me. It just stopped sustaining me. So just check it. Talk to it, say it out loud. And my information will be down in the show notes. But as I mentioned, it takes a village. So if you are someone who you are transitioning and you're wanting to leave a 9-to-5 that's soul sucking, leave a relationship, start that business, grow that business, I have a pretty nifty talent with not only getting you confident in your finances, but also getting you clarity and confidence in how to increase your income, how to build your wealth, so that way you can walk away from whatever your situation is with confidence that you're going to be okay. In fact, you're going to be more than okay, because you'll actually be walking in alignment with your joy, your beliefs, your desires. And it does not get any better than that. I'm here to tell you, every single day I learn more about what I want, and I take one step, another step to get to where I desire, and it feels so freaking amazing. And I want that for you. Because what I know about us, we follow Vasavi, and we mirror one another. So when we are able to show up in our fullness, so many other people benefit from it. So many other people. And it's like a ripple effect. You can literally change the world by putting yourself first. You don't get any better than that. It is literally a win-win. And I just want us to win. Thank you, thank you, thank you for listening. Signing out, Alex Davis. Bye.
If you love today's episode, then say it out loud. Subscribe, leave a review, and come say hi over on Instagram at My Name is Vasavi. Until next time, say it out loud.